Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Indecisive podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about the Kirby series with one of my friends, Collin. Collin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Collin. I'm a friend of Beck, and I've been playing Kirby games ever since I was 6 years old. I've always been really passionate about the series, and means a lot to me, being on here, and yeah.
Nice. So let's see. Your first Kirby game was Superstar, wasn't it?
Superstar Ultra for
Right.
the DS.
Right, for the Nintendo DS.
Yes, and my second game was Canvas Curse, also for the DS.
Nice. My first game was Kirby 64 for the N64. I did not own it. I played it at the dentist's office, which is a very weird sentence, I will say.
Well, I mean, I played my Sonic games at like a haircut place, so
Yeah.
it's not too far off.
It's fair. So, let's start with discussing the evolution of the gameplay of the series, So we started with Kirby's Dreamland on, I think, the Game Boy, wasn't it?
Yes, and I actually played that one.
Rad. I have not yet, but it was black and white. Okay, technically like weirdly green and black, but and it did not have the copy abilities yet. It was just, you puff up and float around and consume things to spit them back at others.
And the movement was a little bit more on the jank side. The controls were tanky and floaty at the same time, which is kind of a weird combination. But overall, the game has aged pretty well, surprisingly. And it was the first game in the series, but it also introduced extra mode, which had harder enemies, bosses, layouts, things like that. And it was pretty good.
Wait, hang on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, is this any better?
That is much better.
Okay, excellent. So Dreamland was very simple, arbitrary bad guy is stealing all the food, go murder him or something, regular kids game.
Yeah. It was pretty it was a very simple game, but it was very charming and fun.
Yeah. So for those of y'all listening, I don't know if you all know this is fairly common knowledge though. The name Kirby was not his original name, actually. They went through a couple of different iterations, I think including Popopo, which they decided was too guttural.
And they were gonna call the game Twinkle Popo, actually, but...
Really? I didn't know that. Ooh,
no. Yeah, they were gonna call the game that.
Yeah, they didn't.
I'm the same.
So,
I hear rumors that they based Kirby's name off of a lawyer.
Yes, John Kirby defended Nintendo in a lawsuit against, I believe, Universal Studios because Donkey Kong and King Kong were too similar. This was back when Nintendo was not a juggernaut that could handle whatever was thrown at them. So they needed this lawyer's help, and they named Kirby after him.
Yeah.
Kirby, the game and the character, was created by Masahiro Sakurai at, I think, 19?
Yes, he was actually very young when he created Kirby.
Yep. Sakurai went on to create, I think, only 3 more games. I think he helped with Dreamland 2 and 3 and Adventure, and then left before 64, right?
Actually, you are mistaken there because he worked on Air Ride, Dreamland, Superstar, and Adventure.
That's right. Okay.
I think Air Ride was his last big game, but occasionally he comes in to help.
Yeah,
and
I think he voices DDD.
Yes, he does, and he also still does, representation with Kirby, especially in Smash Bros.
Yes, he's also responsible for Smash Bros. He ended up leaving HAL Labs, the company that created Kirby, because he felt that basically there were too many sequels. That, you publish a game, everyone finishes it and goes, cool, what do we got next? What's the next game? What's it gonna be? And he didn't like that.
He wasn't really too keen on massive sequels, which is kind of ironic because he created Smash Bros. And that has garnered like a ton of series.
He also doesn't like it. I think
I don't think he does, yeah.
Yeah, the Wii one, he wasn't going to work on that. He had already quit HAL Labs. And I think Satoru Iwata, the late Satoru Iwata, told him that if Sakurai didn't help, they were basically just going to re-release the previous game and add on some janky Wi-Fi compatibility and just hope it worked. And Sakurai knew that he would not be able to let people do that to his game.
Yeah.
Honestly, after Smash Ultimate is done, I don't want him to work on more games. He needs rest.
He does. I mean,
anyway,
if he works on like smaller projects, maybe, but yeah,
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see him as an indie dev,
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so after Dreamland came Kirby's Adventure, which introduced the now series staple copy ability. You eat a sentient fireball and then you are the sentient fireball.
Copy abilities at this time were really simple.
Yes,
they also introduced one of Kirby's moves, the slide kick.
Really, that wasn't in the first game?
No, it was not.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And copy abilities were fairly simple at the time. You just push a button and it does a thing. There really wasn't any
you just push one button and the fun thing happens.
Yeah.
But I don't have a full list of the copy abilities, and I'm not sure we want to go over a full list of every copy ability in every game.
Yes, but
there was. Go ahead.
I feel one of my favorite abilities from that game is such an underrated ability in the series is Ball, which literally strips Kirby of his limbs, and he's just a ball.
It's
yes,
it's such a stupid ability, but I love it. I have not played the original Kirby's Adventure, but I have played the remake Nightmare in Dreamland.
I have played both.
Sweet.
The original did not age well.
I really liked, I think Tornado or Whirlwind or whatever. That one was fun.
Tornado.
The only downside is that Tornado does not break blocks, and that's weird. And so there are a lot of scenes in which I'm like, okay, but I want Tornado, and so I had to discard the ability, inhale the blocks, and spit them back out, and then get the ability back.
Scramble to get it? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, it also introduced the concept of if you inhale two abilities at once, when you swallow, it'll go through essentially a roulette, and you can get any ability from the game. You could get Ball, Tornado, Fire, Sword, or Light. Light is an unfortunate ability. Should have done something better. It
Light just lightens up
rooms in the game, and that's it. Maybe at the very least they could have had it so that it deals damage if the room isn't dark,
Yeah. I don't know. They could have done way more than that. It was just a one use.
Yeah. I think most Kirby games have some sort of pseudo useless ability, At the very least they have sleep. Except in Squeak Squad, that was pretty powerful in Squeak Squad.
Yes, but usually the sleep ability is used as a trap.
Yeah.
And the ability copy in Superstar, you may be able to already do that, but in Milky Way Wishes, we'll get to that later, which is one of the modes in the game. you can't copy things
or if
in
you give
that
it to your
mode.
partner. If you give it to your partner, they now have free reign over what they want.
Yes, and also you can finally copy in that mode too. Also, tack, which is the helper you get, well, we'll get to that later, is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful helper in the entire game.
Yes, because he can just turn completely intangible, an ability which would later be ripped off by Leaf and Archer.
Yes.
Not gonna lie, the only reason why I beat the True Arena in Kirby Triple Deluxe was because I used Archer. Like it's too good. It's too good. Anyway,
it's very good, but it hurts your thumbs.
Yeah. After Adventure, we had Dreamland 2, which introduced Rick and Kine and Koo, the animal buddies, and Gooey, but only kind of. He was only kind of introduced there.
Yeah, Gooey was like this random blob thing that would occasionally appear. Like you would fight a mini boss,
and then instead of getting an animal buddy, you'd get a Gooey, and Gooey would just like squish and then poop a one up.
Exactly.
And also, actually, so I have played this game. I've beaten DDD. I have not gone back for all the rainbow shards yet. For those of you who don't know, a lot of Kirby games will have a mechanic where you can, so, you get to the final boss and you beat the final boss and a message comes up. It's like, hey, you didn't get all the arbitrary collectibles, so you need to go back and get all the arbitrary collectibles to beat the real final boss.
Well, it's not usually just a message. Like usually they end up having really sad cutscenes at the end.
Yeah.
You get the bad ending.
But so I have not yet gotten all the rainbow shards to beat the real final boss.
How dare you?
Well, I'm in the process of doing it, but I've got a lot of other games to play. I got like Stardew, Hollow Knight, Celeste.
I'm messing with you.
Yeah, other Kirby games.
Other
but the Animal Buddies were really interesting because so that game only had a couple of copy abilities. I think there was like I think Needle. Collin, do you remember which ones they are? I know there was like Needle, Spark, Cutter.
Beam, Parasol.
Right, Beam, yes.
I think it had Stone.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so the Animal Buddies each had their own variant. There's 3 Animal Buddies. Rick is the hamster who is fast, and I think he can like jump on enemies, or like if he steps on them, he crushes them. Kine can fly, which is great, like free flying, and he carries Kirby in his talons.
Well, no, that's Koo. Kine's the fish.
I'm sorry, yes. Koo is the bird. Kine is the mostly useless fish.
And you can pair up the animal buddies with your copy abilities to do different things.
Cutter. Normally with Kirby, you just like rip off a part of your head and throw it like a boomerang, which is a slightly terrifying idea in execution. Whereas Koo would spin in a circle and shoot like little boomerang feathers.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Or with... Oh, go ahead.
One of my favorite combinations is not because of its practicality, but because of how funny it is. If you combine the ability Spark and Kine the fish, you get like a light bulb.
There are a couple of areas in the game where if you use the light bulb, it will light up the background. That's how you that's actually how you get to the rainbow shard or rainbow drop in DDD's castle, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that. And that's kind of fitting because the level's like called Dark Castle.
Yeah. So, light bulbs.
Light bulbs.
Yes. Anyway, and then it capped off with a new recurring final boss named Dark Matter, who actually I think at this time we didn't know why he was there. Like he just showed up in Dreamland and possessed DDD.
That isn't exactly true because it's stated in the manual that Dark Matter was made from sadness and like pure negativity,
Really?
and like envied the happiness of like a pop star, so went to that planet and tried to consume it in darkness.
Okay.
Because it was jealous.
Okay. So then there was Dreamland 3, which I think added like I think 3 more animal buddies. There's Choo Choo, Nago, and Pitch. I think Choo Choo is an octopus, Pitch is like a little tiny bird, and Nago is a cat, right?
Yes.
And then I think it used the same abilities, but it also added one ability, cleaning, in which you take a broom and you sweep.
The best creation ever.
Yes.
The single best ability.
I actually wonder why they didn't bring it back in, like, it's in 2 games. It's in Dreamland 3 and it's in Star Allies, and that's it. Like, what's up with that?
Well, Star Allies is the most recent game, so it could be reoccurring from now on.
Yeah, I hope so. Anyway, the final boss, once again, you fought Dark Matter and then a giant eyeball thing, Zero, that once you beat it, it then rips itself open, bleeds out, and continues a boss fight. What's up?
You are correct. You are correct. And it is very disturbing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Like Dedede's possessed again, and he actually, he basically turns into Pac-Man.
Well, he did that in Dreamland 2 also.
He did?
Yeah. I would know. I fought him, and it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, that is pretty scary. But Zero's basically the leader of Dark Matter.
Mm-hmm.
Zero is very creepy.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say Zero is an eye, more of like a Dark Matter, which is like a black sphere with an eye, except like it's white instead of black, and it has a red eye.
And it bleeds. It definitely bleeds.
Yes, it bleeds.
I do not know why that was an okay thing.
Well, it's cool.
Yeah, I guess, but this is a kid's game. Anyway.
This will be a trend in the series.
Oh, it is a trend in the series. Next up, was Superstar next, or was 64?
Superstar. Superstar was Super Nintendo. 64 was like 3D models, remember?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they like went back a generation.
They did not do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
Are we gonna talk about its remake Ultra later?
Let's talk about them both at the same time.
Okay.
So
Kirby Superstar was made for the Super Nintendo.
Yes, the
preferred version, in my opinion, the best Kirby game ever is Kirby Superstar Ultra for the Nintendo DS. It was a remake of the game that fixed all the issues of the original, has beautiful art and music and story, and actually added so much content and story to the series, and started a sort of universe which like multiple games are connected by, a story, like lore.
But we'll talk about the lore after we're done talking about the main.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, it's a whole different type of flying altogether. 10 points for anyone who got that joke.
I didn't.
I'll explain it after the show if you'll remind me.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Instead of being one main story, Superstar and Ultra, instead the main menu was like this cork board with postcards on it, and there was Spring Breeze, which was basically a remake of the original Dreamland, like with copy abilities.
The next one was Dynablade, which this bird is basically stealing all the crops from Dreamland
And it hit Kirby on the head with an apple. That's important.
Yes, and that's what woke him up. But basically, your goal is to get all the food back again, just like Spring Breeze. Except there's a twist to this one. Once you get to the end of Dynablade, you figure out the only reason why Dynablade was stealing the crops was to feed her kids, and then Kirby, being the wonderful little marshmallow man he is, goes out.
Wispy Woods.
Goes to Wispy Woods, which is a tree with a face. It's literally just a tree with a face.
He cries when you punch it.
Okay. Yes, that is true. And takes the babies to Wispy Woods so that they can be fed and eat apples. And he helps Dynablade raise her kids, which is pretty awesome.
In this one, there's a bit of a pseudo-unique gimmick of a world map. There's only like a couple of stages, if I remember correctly, and I think 1 or 2 hidden stages as well.
Well, I wouldn't call them hidden stages. They're more so like areas where you can there are what are called copy pedestals, and once you touch them, you get copy abilities.
Yes, I think there's also a sleep.
These stages have all the abilities in the game.
Yes. And I think there's also like a little room full of like respawning enemies so that you can test it too, which I think is rad.
Yes. And Gourmet Race.
Gourmet Race.
Oh, Jinx. Gourmet
it's kind
Race.
Of just like a little mini game where
it's more of a mini game than one of the main sub games, but you still need to beat it.
Yeah. Basically, you're racing against DDD across an obstacle course, and you have to collect more food in order to speed up.
Well, 3 obstacle courses more specifically, with some of the catchiest tunes in the entire series. 1, 2, oatmeal, Kirby.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm doing the meme.
So then I think was Revenge of Mennonite, correct?
You skipped one. Great Cave Offensive.
That's right. Great Cave Offensive was basically Kirby's walking along and falls in a hole and decides,
Indiana Jones Kirby.
Yeah, basically, actually.
He's
Jones. Walking along, falls in a hole, and goes, I might as well go collect stuff. And so he becomes Indiana Jones for about 2 hours.
And you go through areas, and it's very non-linear. You can collect treasures and
like Samus's screw attack, or the Triforce, or a Ferrari.
A Ferrari?
No,
was that one of them?
No, I don't think so. I know there's like a bunch of jokes from other games. There is like the Triforce and the screw attack, and like
someone trapped like a Mr. Saturn in one of the treasure chests.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I feel bad for that Mr. Saturn. How long has he been down there?
With it. He's probably okay with it, to be fair. They're
pretty
they're weird. They fish for birds with balloons. They're interesting. Yeah, Mother 3 was a trip. But we'll talk about that on a different episode.
Yes.
Then, you leave the Great Cave and get like a tally of like, hey, you found this many treasures. Each treasure is worth its own amount of money. So congratulations, you made this much money. There's still 6 treasures missing.
Did you just call it the Grand Canyon?
No, the Great Cave.
Okay, I thought you called it the Grand Canyon for a second.
Nah. Maybe.
I was about to just die laughing.
I don't get what's so offensive about it, but
Well, you're on the offensive.
Oh, that form of offensive. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Okay. Then we have Revenge of Mennonite, where
let me explain this one, please.
Okay, go ahead, my dude.
Okay, it opens with Mennonite and his new crew on this new battleship, this gigantic metallic airship called the Halberd, which a halberd is actually a medieval weapon, which is pretty cool because the character Mennonite is a knight. So Basically, he decides he wants to end Dreamland's lazy lifestyle, so he decides he's going to conquer it with a gigantic battleship. In this game, Kirby tries to get on the ship and destroy it, and basically save all of Dreamland. It's very action-packed mode, and the battle with the Meta Knight's one of the most iconic in the series. It's brilliant.
There's one thing you forgot to mention.
I'm not mentioning gameplay.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Yet.
Yes. The entire time, the biggest mechanic of this is that there's a timer. And if you don't beat it in this time, you fail. And honestly, for the most part, it's fine. Like,
Kirby dies.
Oh. For the most part, it's probably fine. But near the end, after you beat Meta Knight, he's like, okay, well, you've basically destroyed everything on the ship, so...
You're forgetting something. Meta Knight, when you defeat Meta Knight, you battle him sword to sword. Like, he gives you a sword, and you fight him. But once you beat him, his mask splits in half, and he looks just like Kirby.
Yeah, it's odd. We've never really received any closure on that. Like, every time you fight
yes,
him
we
in a
have.
game... We have?
Yes. A lot of closure. A lot of lore.
Okay, wait, hang on. Is this talking about Kirby right back at ya?
No. Kirby
Okay.
right back at ya is non-canon, dude.
Except for his voice. His voice is pretty great. He sounds like Ingo Montoya.
Yeah. But anyways, Kirby gets on a wheelie, which is like a wheel creature, and basically as the ship is crashing, Meta Knight's, chasing him and trying to, like, kill him and stuff.
Yes.
Pretty intense.
And you only have, like, I think a minute or so to get off the ship, meaning you're going to die, like, at least 7 times unless you know what you're doing, which I never do.
Well, when I was little, it was pretty easy for me. I'm not gonna flex.
Well, but like, I don't know. It's practice. It's basically like a practice sequence. You need to know what's coming up and how to dodge. And then you get off, and the halberd crashes into the ocean, and everyone inside dies.
That's not true. The crew exits the ship.
I thought there were a bunch of people who stayed. No, never mind. I'm sorry. I was getting confused with
His crew stayed at the very end until Kirby beat them up, and then they left the ship.
Okay, that's
no one died, dude.
That's good. Okay.
Yes. After all, you can see the crew at the end of Planet Robobot.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't know. I figured you just
Yes.
got more crew. Anyway, which one is the next one? Is the next one Milky Way Wishes?
Yes. Oh.
Wait, can I explain this one?
Please say this one?
Come on.
This is my favorite Kirby game.
Fine.
You can do the next few.
Radical. Here, I'll do the 3DS ones. How about that? Like, because those
Sure.
I've played.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, man.
So, opens up to the sun and moon fighting, which is, nothing new for Kirby, because the sun and moon, which are like Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright, well, they don't usually fight each other, but
they're like bosses in the past.
There's a boss in Kirby's Adventure and its remake Nightmare in Dreamland where you're fighting both of them simultaneously. But this time they're fighting against each other, and day and night keeps changing like crazy. So Kirby sees this, and then this like jester, this cute little jester-looking thing. His name is Marks. He basically comes up and he's like, "Hey, Kirby, you need to do something about this." And he tells him how to do it. He needs to get the stars from all the planets in the solar system to summon a wish-granting clockwork star called Nova. So basically, every planet has what is called the Fountain of Dreams. and these Fountain of Dreams contain star rods. Once Kirby collects all these stars, he's able to summon Nova. I will let you say the rest.
So, let's see, after summoning Nova, or actually no, before even doing that, there's a weird mechanic that never shows up again in the series, but, it's a unique thing to Milky Way wishes.
Yes.
Where instead of inhaling enemies for their copy abilities, instead you have to find, deluxe copy essences, and once you do that, you can just switch copy abilities whenever you want.
Which is really cool.
And so, you could be halfway through an empty room and decide, you know what, no, screw fire, I want Yo-Yo. And then you get Yo-Yo, because Yo-Yo is amazing. But then, so, you go through a couple of different planets, and you summon Nova, and then Mark shows up and smacks you in the back of the head and goes, hey, no, so I'm actually going to have a wish, and I want to control all of Popstar. And so Nova just flies off towards Popstar, and the stars that Kirby collected turn into the starship. Yes, go ahead.
Let me describe this. His motive was he wants to cause all the mischief he wants, which is so cool. And he basically transforms into his true form, which has golden wings,
big bug eyes,
crystals, and he just looks really crazy and intimidating and cool. But anyways, yeah, like you were saying, as Kirby's floating in the void of space dying, all the stars save him, and it creates the starship, and then he goes
and blows up Nova, which,
Explain the gameplay change here, dude.
It goes from a platformer to a side-scrolling shooter.
Yes.
And it is the weirdest thing, but it pulls off really nicely, actually.
Yes, it does.
And then, you destroy Nova and break it, and then it, yeets you onto, a moon or something, I'm not sure. I don't know, maybe it is the moon.
Well, Kirby exits Nova and then goes after Marks.
Yeah.
They battle.
And then you defeat Nova, and all is well. Or not Nova, sorry, you defeat Marks, and then all is well, basically.
That's not the whole story, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Then in Ultra, they added Revenge of the King, which was basically just a remake of Spring Breeze that was slightly harder, and Bandana Waddle Dee.
Spring Breeze's extra mode.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. Bandana Waddle Dee is a boss there, and you can just inhale him and kill him instantly if you want.
Well, this is the first time it's shown that Bandana D is King Dedede's right-hand man. He first appeared in a mode called the Arena from the original Superstar, but I believe in that game he didn't have his trademark blue bandana.
That's right, there was just a Waddle Dee enemy. It was just one of the bosses.
Yeah.
And then this also introduced Masked Dedede, and probably one of the best boss themes in the entire franchise.
One of the best boss fights ever, in my opinion.
If I remember, I'm actually probably going to have the music for it play at some point here.
Well,
no, I might.
Let me explain this first. The plot of Revenge of the King is King Dedede wants revenge. He wants to end their feud once and for all because, King Dedede and Kirby have clashed many times, beforehand, and they sort of throughout the game started becoming frenemies.
Yeah.
Of each other, but he wants to settle their rivalry once and for all and just goes all out.
Yeah. And then we had the Arena, which was a boss rush, Helper to Hero, which was another boss rush, but instead of playing as Kirby, you would play as a helper, or two helpers, with a single set copy ability, which is actually pretty rad, I must say.
Yes.
And then the True Arena, which is significantly harder forms of bosses.
You never beat the one from Ultra.
No, I didn't. With I
That
think
tough.
two secret bosses at the end. Wham Bam Jewel, basically discount Master Hand. Like, let's be
No,
fair.
no.
Well, but the boss
Wham
fight is
Bam came
simple.
before Master Hand was even
So
created.
Master Hand is just discount Wham Bam.
Yes. Discount
Huh.
Wham Bam Rock because Wham Bam Jewel didn't even exist.
Huh. The plot thickens.
It
Anyway,
does.
so after this happens, we then have Mark's soul, where basically all of the
Let me
wish magic
describe
and
this.
whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so turns out Mark's died, but he actually didn't. When
It's one of the
he flies into Nova at the end of Milky Way Wishes, he ends up absorbing the wish powers of the star, the clockwork star, and it ends up resurrecting him as Mark's soul. Still one of the most difficult bosses in the franchise.
a very scary boss too.
Not to me.
He looks nasty, and he also does this demonic screech.
Yeah, once you kill him,
Yeah,
Kirby actually kills him,
he's dead.
legit.
So then we also have Meta Nightmare Returns?
Meta Nightmare Ultra. Meta Nightmare
Ultra.
Planet
Right.
Robot.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. But it's basically you play through all of the previous game, like the original, I think 6 setups. Spring Breeze through Milky Way Wishes as Meta Knight.
Testing his power, trying to get stronger by going through, the different game modes. And at the end, he gets all the stars' wishes for Nova, and this is when something really cool happens.
So I wasn't expecting this in the slightest, but he wishes to battle the strongest warrior in the galaxy. So Nova reveals that there is a warrior called Galactonite, who I think is soaked in the blood of 1,000 galaxies. I think might actually be the quote.
No,
no?
The quote was, he was sealed away because his power was far too great. And he was sealed in this crystal.
And so Nova just yeets him out.
Yes. And that crystal disappears, and Galactonite, who looks so metal, he has a mask like Meta Knight with horns. He has a lance, like a gigantic shield, and he also has angel wings.
Yes. And big bad
fight.
Final boss fight.
What?
Big bad final boss fight. Very difficult.
As Meta Knight, in my opinion, it's not that difficult because it was designed for Meta Knight to fight.
That's fair. You should remember, though, that I'm very bad at Kirby games.
Yes. I have to describe the music, though. The music that they fight on this little rock in space, and heavy metal, literal heavy metal, is playing in a Kirby game. And
which, is not the usual style of music.
At all, because Kirby's cutesy, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, until it gets into more of its...
until you reach the final boss.
Yes. As Kirby, however, this is when it becomes the most difficult Kirby boss I've ever faced. Because he was not designed for Kirby to fight. And he actually, reacts to your movements and your attacks very well.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
And he has so many different attacks. He can summon, mini bosses. He can, or I wouldn't say mini bosses, but more powerful enemies. He can, do a lot of lance attacks, shoot a laser through the screen, create fire that comes from the ground.
Yeah.
But he has a whole lot more.
Yeah, so we are approaching, like, actually, we're already at 40 minutes. So I'm thinking we're going to need to do a part 2 of this episode.
A part 2.
Yeah, so
that
that's going to
sounds
be
cool.
It's technically a series first.
Yes.
The last episode, Minecraft, is an hour long, and I don't think I want to pull another episode like that. It was fun, but I'm not sure if there'll be enough retention time for a full hour.
Yeah. I think I'm down for a part 2.
Okay, so next time, the next episode will likely be, Dreamland Part 2 or whatever I eventually call it. And we will start off talking about Kirby 64 and then move on through there, right?
Right.
Okay. Any final thoughts you want to add?
Kirby is cool. You should totally play it. And thank you so much, Beck, for having me here to talk about possibly my favorite video game franchise ever.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.
Yeah. And so yeah, I will see you in probably the next episode for part 2.
See ya.
See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.